Let's learn last few trigger context variables in this video. The first one is executing, which returns true if the current transaction or if the current context is an apex trigger. The second one is size, which returns the total number of records in the trigger invocation. So if you are updating 10 lead records at once, then the size would be 10. The third one is operation type, which returns some value based on current trigger events. Like if the current trigger is a before insert trigger, then you get a value like before underscore insert. So there are multiple values that it can return based on how your trigger is executing. The possible values are before insert, after insert, before update, after update, before delete, after delete, and after undelete. So this variable alone can tell you how your trigger is executing, and then we don't have to use the other context variables like is before or is insert, is update, and all the other ones. So we are going to use this operation type trigger context variables going forward in this course because this makes our code very simple. For now, let's go back to our developer console and we will see some example of these trigger context variables. So this is our lead trigger, and now let's add some debug statements here so that we can see the output of these three new trigger context variables that we have just learned. So I'm going to put some debug statements here, and let's put first one as trigger size, and this one will show the trigger size. Now then let's copy this 2 more times. The second one should be the executing. Let's name it as is trigger, and I'm going to use is executing. We don't need to use these parentheses here because these are variables, not functions. So this one should be the operation type. And let's save our trigger. Now let's go to one of the lead record and let's modify an existing one. Let's change its name from test3 to lead trigger and save it. Let's go to our developer console and let's open these logs. Let's check out the debug logs only. And we see the trigger size is 1 because we only updated one single record. Then the is executing parameter gave us true because this was a trigger. And the third one is the operation type, which was before update. And now you'll notice that we see these variables again because this trigger executes for before update and after update both. So this trigger executed twice. First time it was before update, and the second time it was after update. So now I'll show you how these variables value will differ if we'll execute it from developer console. For example, if I'll go to my anonymous window here and let me paste some code here. So before I execute this code, I'm going to copy these variables here as well. So let me copy it from the trigger and paste it inside our anonymous window as well. So first I'm going to insert one single record. The second time I'm going to insert multiple records. So let's select this part of code and click on execute highlighted. So let's check out the logs and you will see the difference. First, the trigger size was null because here when we execute this statement, the trigger is not executing. Trigger only executes once you insert the lead record. So that's why we get the size as null. This gives us false. And the operation type is also null because these values are only available within a trigger context. But as soon as our transaction reaches the trigger, then we see the trigger size as well. Is trigger is also true, and then the operation type is before insert. Now I'll select this multiple lead insertion code and I'm going to click on execute highlighted. The only difference we'll say this time is the trigger size, because now we are inserting 10 lead records at once, so the size would be 10 this time. So here we see our trigger size is 10. So these variables are also helpful in some cases when you need to do some operation based on the record size, or maybe if the current context is trigger or not. So that's all in this video. In the next video, we are going to continue our journey of triggers.